Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles.
Oh, here we go.
I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
With Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you have heard come from none other than a co-host with the most on the North Coast, one Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings.
Yes, folks, we got a nice little I'd say packedly typed show. So we're just going to get into it with the comic books of the week, starting off with, and if Agent 70 will let me do the honor of sound effect in this one, Thundercats #1.
Thundercats. Nice.
Thank you. I got a link I gotta send you after the show also. But yes, folks, Dynamite Entertainment's Thundercats #1 is finally out. I was waiting for this. I wasn't actually, I honestly didn't expect Agent 70 to read it, but apparently did also.
I got to it.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it then, sir.
So, obviously, if you are familiar with the original setting of Thundercats, both in the animated version and, believe it or not, in the Star Comics version that was published by Marvel Comics around the same time. So, what's interesting about this is that it starts in similar fashion, but obviously deviates from what I guess the OGs would know as the original story. That's all I'm willing to really say. Other than, I think the non-spoilery thing I can say is the looks are subtly different for some of the main characters that we know.
Yes.
And it's a little jarring. So that's what those are my big takeaways. I obviously do not want to spoil what the big twist is, because there is a twist. There has to be something that gets you to come back for the next issue. But I think what I will say is I think it starts off well. It's a good, strong start. I think the one takeaway that I would be willing to tell anybody is that the looks, the subtle changes in the looks were a little jarring to me. But as I said earlier, I am one of those OGs, one of those people that was down with Thundercats from Jump. So it was a little jarring, but with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Right. You want to give the credits?
Oh, I apologize. I'm a little out of it this week, folks. Thundercats #1 is written by Declan Shalvey, with art by Drew Moss, colors by Chiara Di Francia and Martina Pignadoli, and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of sorts tonight, folks, so bear with us.
All right, it's all right. Actually, and when I read that Chiara name, I'm like, Chitara wrote this? I mean, had something to do with this? Colored this?
That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, like Agent 70 said, there are some differences in some of the looks of the characters, but at least for those worried about it, as far as I know, as far as we know at this point, said striking character doesn't have a gun. Because if the folks remember the 2011 Thundercats series, that was the thing that kind of struck me. I was like, wait, why does this character have a gun?
That I don't remember.
It was a good series. It was short-lived.
The animated series you're referring to, right?
Huh?
The animated series, or was there a comic book series you're referring to?
No, animated.
Okay. I remember there being an animated series. I remember watching it here and there, but I don't recall the character you are referring to.
Yeah, for those who do remember, Tigra had a gun in that series, or at least at the beginning.
Oh, I do not remember that at all.
I do, because like I said, I remember I was like, because when I remember seeing, I was like, what the hell's going on here? Like, where's the whip? What's going on? And I remember they made a few different changes in that series right off the bat. But you know, that's what you do in a it was kind of a gritty reboot, but it was a reboot nonetheless. So, and in this case, while it's not necessarily a reboot, there is some subtle changes to it, including the aforementioned twist that Agent 70 talked about, that mentioned, that we won't go into. But at least for those who are kind of coming into this slightly fresh, or either fresh or lapsed in Thundercats knowledge, because it has been around. I'm not sure where it is on streaming platforms at this point. I'm sure it's probably out there. You get a nice little recap of events leading up to where they are now, which, spoiler alert, they're on Third Earth. So that is pretty much as far as we'll go with that. But that being said, I feel like some of the differences in the looks might have possibly come slightly off of that 2011 animated series. I can't tell that for certain, because it's not a one-to-one even with those, because those characters even look different from these. But I'm sure there's inspiration that was drawn from probably both the classic 86 and that one, for whatever reason. And I think there is one possibly distinct change that at least I don't remember of, is a character being a character's relationship with Lion-O, which seems more of a 2011 thing than the old Rankin Bass joint. But that part I'm not entirely sure, because I don't know if they ever actually did that in the original or not. So yeah, actually, what made this book made me want to do is kind of go back and watch some of that old shit. So, which I was probably going to do anyway because of this, but it's just kind of give me more reason to. But that being said, yeah, like I said, there's not really much else to say without spoiling it. I pretty much enjoyed it. There wasn't outside of the twist at the end, there wasn't anything that was like that was glaringly different. Like, you could pretty much checkbox, things that show up or happen in the course of this issue, which is not a bad thing, But as Agent 70 said, it's like, yeah, they had to do something that'll bring you back. I wasn't expecting that to happen this early, because it was a thing that happened in the old cartoons at some point, if I remember correctly. But it took a while to get to that point. So
gotcha. I mean, I don't remember any of that in the old cartoons, except I guess maybe what you're referring to is something being more fragile,
right,
than you remember.
Right.
Got it.
Right. Like, and yeah, and like I said, there was like, I feel like I vaguely remember it happening, because I feel like if it wasn't like one of those 5-parter or 2-parters that they had at once or twice, then it was just like, it probably wasn't like a 2 or 3-parter, whatever the case may be, but it was like, there weren't that many of those in that series, so there were things that kind of stand out about those. So, but yeah, it is good stuff. I'm like, we know, as far as we know, it is an ongoing, so I'm hoping it's going to continue to capture readers, and continue to be good, specifically, to do that. But I feel like it's Thundercats. There have been many of times where they've been tried to reboot and redo various versions of the Thundercats, whether in live action form or in animated series or whatnot, that are probably still in various states of happening or not happening, to where it's good to kind of see it again, and whether the Thundercats diehards are out there, eating this up.
Right.
But I'm sure we'll find out probably by the end of the week whether there's like a second or third printing of this, which I feel like there will probably likely be.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you know. So there, and even with the variant covers they got out there, which I guess I should have shown a couple of them while we're sitting here talking. You know, they were just kind of out there. So, I wonder if I could just go ahead and show that one real quick, and this one, which, if you're watching the video version, I will say that the visual on this particular variant cover hasn't happened yet, but like I said, the other thing you would expect to happen in a Thundercats series did already happen, and it was played quite well, I would say. Then there is that one, and that'll be the last one I show for the variant covers, which I know Agent 70 can't see, but I'm working on getting that to change.
I could see it if I pulled up the Twitch feed.
Yeah, but you know,
it's okay.
Yeah, we'll not need to do that. It's actually kind of funny. So the one that's up right now is a Liefeld, or according to this, is a Liefeld original. Which there's some news on Liefeld in the news coming up later on. So well, that's a little tease for later on. And with that, we're going to move on to the next book that we were going to talk about, which is, X-Men number 31.
X-Men number 31 is written by Jerry Duggan with art by Phil Noto and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So just as a quick preface to this, both Roddykat and I had not yet read X-Men number 30 when X-Men 31 dropped this week. So we both had to circle back and read X-Men number 30 in order to understand what in the hell is happening in X-Men 31. And to be perfectly honest, I still was unsure of what was going on in X-Men 30 and 31 because of certain characters there. I'm like, how did he get there? Why is he there? When did this start? Do I have to go back to like 27, 28, 29? But in any event, we are now in the, I guess, the home stretch, as it were, for the counteroffensive, the striking back, as it were, by the former nation of Krakoa against the forces of Orcus and weirdo Mr. Sinister. I forget his name again, but and all these other characters, right?
Right.
There is a bit of a side quest, is the term, that is completed in this issue, and it starts in the previous issue, which is why we had to circle back to issue number 30. That side quest being completed does play a significant role in the paths of certain characters. And also, as I said, helps to lay the groundwork for the counteroffensive by the mutants. So with that, I will hand it off to Roddykat.
Right. Excuse me. Right. So all of the X books have pretty much been wrapping up their storylines to kind of get to this, because it's about to go down very shortly, as Agent 70 alluded to. So that thing he just talked about was one part of that, and things are starting to come together for that one big push. So as Agent 70 said, that the one character that kind of comes in as a guest is slightly baffling, but I feel like there's probably, especially when that character is kind of busy elsewhere.
Yeah, right.
With the thing, but obviously, the timing on these books are different, so we don't know when this is in relation to this character's own books and adjacent books. But nevertheless, this was I thought this was a pretty good issue because of like, all right, yeah, we're starting to hit it now, because like things are coming together. There's going to be, and we only got another month or so, or two actually, I think, until everything just kind of is done. Does everything kind of wrap up in March or June?
Hold on. Just take a quick peek, because I remember seeing the checklist.
Right.
And the checklist has, it's not always the best indicator, but the reading list, the checklist at the end of the the end of the issue is often helpful
Right.
with figuring out when all this stuff ends. So let's see. It doesn't say, because I believe it's March.
Because it only just did the month's books or whatever. Or the last...
Right. It's just a month's worth of books.
Yeah, I knew they started doing that at some point. So regardless, it's going to be at some time in the next month or two when everything is just going to wrap up. So it looks like it was time for them to start bringing things back home to come together in that last big battle. So that's where we're at with this. And like I said, this particular issue was not bad on the action because they had to take care of, well, a couple of things ended up getting taken care of. And I guess we got a hint to, or at least a character makes a potential hint to another side mission that's going on at the same time with this, which I thought happened in this book now that I think about it. But I guess that might be something they're going to deal with next month or next issue. I'm not entirely sure. But with things coming together as it is, we're starting to see the pieces all come into the same place. I was going to ask if that character was in the Iron Man book, because that's the one book that I think I didn't go back and read, and I think you had, but I'm guessing that's not the case.
I don't recall.
Hmm.
I don't recall, unless we're speaking of a certain, I think they called him a White King.
No, he's pretty much been everywhere. I mean, he's been showing up in spaces you don't even expect, especially this one. So
right.
But one that would be normally tied to the other character that we were kind of questioning, I would say.
Got it.
Yeah. And he's also showed up there, funnily enough, because we talked about that.
Right.
So,
but regardless, I will drop the most obscure. It's not the most obscure reference, but it's the character shares a name with the name of a cow in City Slickers.
Yes, that is a reference that's a pull, sir. I'm not gonna say it's a deep cut, but that's a pull. So.
It's been a week, folks.
Man, that's pretty good though. But with that takes care of X-Men number 31. Definitely more in the X corner to come very, very soon. I'm sure next week is going to be something interesting. But now we're going to get to the last book we're going to talk about. Even though there are a couple of other books we still do have in common. Fantastic Four number 17.
Sure. Fantastic Four number 17 is written by Ryan North, with art by Carlos Gomez, colors by Jesus Aburtov, and letters by our favorite lettering Python, VC's Joe Caramagna. So if you thought that they would not use Sue's new old retcon origin and throw that into the mix, you were sadly mistaken, because they have used it here. They used it right here in this issue. So the reason why I mentioned that is I don't recall her having this level, this particular area of expertise back in the day.
Right.
I don't recall when she obtained this. I feel like they snuck it in as the result of the failed attempt to reboot the Fantastic Four movies. If I'm not mistaken.
You might be right about that. I think, let's just say, I think it's been a thing that's probably been building in the modern era. Because, because this is definitely a relatively newer thing than both Agent 70 and I know, because we know from earlier days than this that it wasn't nowhere like this. Now we knew she was a smart woman. That has never been in question. But the fact that she now has a doctorate,
the area of expertise,
right? The fact that she has a doctorate or something
was her expertise, right? That I did not know
exactly.
So, but that aside, this was an interesting issue to read because it's relatively dense. There's a lot of actual reading in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because what is that? I know that it's a Doctor Who reference. It's a lot of timey-wimey stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll hand it off to Roddykat with on that note and say there is some did I put it once? Well, let's just say stuff that we know doesn't work, at least in the MCU version of time travel.
Right.
And I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth, let's just say, in the mechanical workings, time workings in this issue that are kind of funny. And a good bit of monologuing actually towards the end. Because there's a lot of explaining of this and explaining of that, and as it turns out, the part of that explaining ends up being the thing that kind of wins the day. Also, the shout out to Braille.
Yeah,
Braille ends up being the hero in this particular case. Now, what does that mean? You had to read it read the issue for yourself to find out. But yeah, we pretty much start off with actually. So the funny thing about this is this particular issue shares some DNA in a particular episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation specifically. Because Sue gets called out for an archaeological dig, and I don't know why I'm having trouble saying that word because I've said it plenty of times in the past. She doesn't have a fedora, folks, so sadly she is not like another well-known doctor that we know of. But hopefully one day soon they will do that, and or she will say it belongs in a museum. Hopefully, get that synergy in there. But nevertheless, there is a mystery that happened that happens during the course of that dig, which is the reason why she got called out and why she ends up calling the family out, that leads into the time shenanigans that that certain folks get entreated to in this issue. Yeah, it was definitely a fun read, and like you just said, definitely a good bit of reading because of the whole monologue and explaining and this and that and the other that was going on with this. And amusingly enough, I read this after another book that we both read in common that has, let's just say, a variant of the adversary, or I guess the prime version of of a variant that shows up here, which was kind of amusing. So, and that I'll just leave it at that with this. This was a potential click of the week for myself because it was fun, even though, it was like a little heavy on the monologue and explaining, but it's like, but once you kind of get to the end of it, it's like, got it. So that's what made it pretty fun.
Gotcha.
With that, actually, so this Ron Lim cover in here real quick. Bow. No Rom on the cover, sadly, but can't have it all, right? Can't have it all.
Listen, the omnibus came out this week.
It did.
The first part of the omnibus came out.
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to get. There was a copy out there we were going to get because I kind of wanted to thumb through it, but nevertheless, we did not.
Oh, we got it last. I thought we got a copy of it before recently.
I don't remember.
It's because last week.
I had to go back and look, but if that's the case, yeah, I'll thumb through it because I know you have your copy on you, and
well, no, I actually didn't buy the omnibus yet, but I have the individual issues.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I have 1 through 29, except for like maybe 1 or 2.
Right, and I have mine also, but they're away where I can't get to them right now. What we're talking about is right here, folks. The official handbook of the Marvel Handbook Master Edition.
Oh, we're talking about Hotmu. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about ROM.
Oh, no.
ROM omnibus is what I was referring to.
Right, yeah, we did get a copy of that, yes.
Yeah, I definitely got a copy of the Ohatmu.
Yeah, but that also came out. The Ohatmu Master Master Edition.
Master Edition. That's right. So that's like the 90s edition.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but nevertheless, wait, that was the last book. So, Fantastic Four number 17. It's a treat. Timey-wimey, good stuff. And we are going to go into the rapid fires.
All right, spinning it up. this is, I guess, the first part of our small but meaningful tribute to the memory of Carl Weathers, because obviously the first sound drop we used to start our rapid fire review section comes from one of his more well-known roles.
Ain't got time to bleed.
All right. Rapid review fire. Rapid review time. All right. So here we go. First up is Avengers number 10. It's written by Jed MacKay with art by CF Villa, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. Roddykat also read this, so he will chime in. I will say that this issue ties up part of the storyline, but obviously brings up something else by circling back to the Avengers dealing with Nightmare. And I kind of enjoyed the setup that MacKay used there, because he had two of arguably the most powerful Avengers speak to Nightmare. And I like the little back and forth that they had, the dialogue between the three of them was pretty cool. With regards to that, what was it? What do they call themselves? The Twilight Council or something?
The last group, the Twilight Court. Yeah,
Twilight Court.
The group they're fighting right now is the Twilight Court.
Yeah, the Twilight Court. Memory, folks. Been a long week. So the Twilight Court, they do what they have to do and then skedaddle. Right? That's really, they're more of a plot device than anything. They do what they have to do to a certain character. There's no real pussyfooting around it. It's Kang, right? They do what they have to do, and then they get out of Dodge very quickly to set up the next thing, right? Because they're not done. That Twilight, this group of characters is not done. If they gain enough traction, they will eventually have Marvel Legends made of them. So we'll see. Any thoughts?
This was a nice breezy issue. I would say it definitely felt like, oh, hey, remember that stuff from Timeless? Is the reason why this part is happening. And by the way, we're just going to shuttle you into some new stuff, because at the end of it, or near the end of it, we get a bit wrapped up. Well, not wrapped up, but we circle back to Thor and Scarlet Witch. Basically, circling back to the whole Nightmare stuff. I was about to say, I want to say keeping their promise, but that wasn't necessarily the case. But in some way, shape, or form, it was kind of like that. Because basically, Thor says, like, yeah, we're going to revisit this sometime at some point soon. And here they are now. But what it seems to be leading into is something else, or the next thing that the Avengers are going to be dealing with, sounds like. So, and I assume that's going to also be a part of Timeless, or that's something that was a part of Timeless. But we know that whole thing is still in play because of this issue, and what was brought out in this issue. So we shall see. All right.
Next up is Doctor Strange number 12. It's written by Jed MacKay with art by Danilo S. Beyruth and colors by KJ Diaz. They're both guests on this book, and letters are by VC's Corey Petit. This is a very fun. It's not a one-off, because it is one of, I guess, how did I put it earlier? It's one of a couple of stories later on, because this is set up. Right? This is planting a seed for a certain story that will not, produce fruit until much later on, because the next issue will go in a different direction. But this is centered around bats and some of the other animals, magic and otherwise. Obviously, bats is a ghost dog. Some of the other animals, magic and otherwise, that take up residence in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And also something else that apparently has taken up residence in Sanctum Sanctorum. And that's my setup.
Yes.
I had flashbacks to the mirror. I want to say it's called the Mirror of Erised in Harry Potter, but that's what I was thinking of. It's obviously a different mirror, a different magic effect here, but that's what I was thinking of when I saw this. What did you think?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't thinking about Harry Potter, but sure. But you have a better memory for that stuff than I do. I could have also said well, no, this doesn't play here because I was about to say the Phantom Zone probably comes into mind,
Right.
in a way. But I kind of expected this story to go slightly different than the way it did because it was kind of set up as in a way it is a kind of hey, this is what Bats is doing, or this is a Bat Saves the Day story, and it kind of sort of is, but it kind of sort of is not. There was a thing, as Agent 78 alluded to, or a character that is alluded to, or that comes into play here, that I was like, where does this character come from? And luckily they had a footnote to where the character last showed up, which was something...
Right, which is fairly recent, which I was like, when was this?
Exactly.
We obviously did not read this.
No, I think it was something around Halloween, because I feel like I remember seeing that issue, but I didn't read it. So I was like, oh, okay. So I guess if I really, really wanted to, I could go back and read it and see what happened there to bring the situation back into play. But yeah, the snakes also reminded me of the Lion King, the hyenas from the Lion King. How they were kind of joking and messing around and potentially lying, but they're just being them. So I kind of got that vibe off of them. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, when the main thing was that after reading this and seeing the preview page, it's kind of got me excited because it is another team up is going to end up happening, but also or at least what it seems to be setting up an RPG element will be coming into play next issue, and I'm kind of excited to see how that plays out, especially with how Jed McKay, who has written Magic the Gathering as of late, just kind of do some things with that. So we shall see.
Alrighty, next up is, for me, the one book that Roddykat and I do not have in common. That is Captain America #6. It's written by J. Michael Straczynski, with pencils by Lan Medina, inks by Lan Medina and Belardino Bravo, colors by Espen Grundtjern, and letters by our favorite lettering python VC's Joe Caramagna. Now, I'm going to tread lightly here because Roddykat does intend to catch up on Captain America. I will say that it's a little weird for this opening arc in Straczynski's run on Captain America to involve magic, because it's not something that we associate with Captain America. I think that the strongest part of this story is how Straczynski weaves in, obviously, the yet to be told, earliest days of Steve Rogers. Right? This is fertile ground that was, literally touched upon in the Captain America movie, right? And the first Avenger movie. And, up until now, it was not something that people really cared to know, unlike the origin of Wolverine, which has been done and redone. And, as much as people want to keep that a mystery, they keep adding to it, right? Cap has always been, he was this way up until he took the super soldier serum and was dosed in Vita rays and became Captain America, right? Knowing what he was like before that was never all that interesting, apparently, but now Straczynski's made it much more so. He's diving into it and really setting up stories to be told in that timeline, in that era, that is. Forget timeline. But I don't know how this whole magic thing comes into play, but I guess that's part of the connective tissue of it, because there is, that does tie into some of the flashback, some of the reasons for the flashback, and how this character, or this element, this magical element, has kind of been around for a long time. So that's, I guess, the one caveat I have about reading this. But I liked it. It's good. Medina's art in this was a little iffy at some points, but some pages I think were far more stronger than others. Ultimately, though, I think that this is an ongoing story. This is not over by any means. So it's not the most ringing endorsement, but I liked it. It's good, and it does say more than just Cap beating up a magical enemy with the aid of one Stephen Strange. So there's more to this issue than that, and that's actually an excellent thing. And that's it for me.
Gotcha. Taking a moment to give a shout out to one Dork Geekus, aka Victor Von Gloom, who's in YouTube chat. Been around.
How you doing, Von Gloom?
Yeah. We've been talking back and forth on Twitter in the last in the last few while anyway. But go check that man out. He's doing some stuff on YouTube right now, so check him out. But he says that he didn't know that JMS was writing Cap now, so he's got to check that out. Also, he apparently he read that the Halloween book.
Oh, nice.
So he was like, he says it was the Halloween issue was okay, but the Man in the Mirror was way before his time as a Doctor Strange fan, so the reveal didn't really hit. So yeah. It kind of struck us under because like neither one of us had read that issue, so it was like, okay, weird. That being the case, I feel
like that's the second time I've thought of Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror in the last week. I don't know why, but anyway, go on.
Yeah, I know. I don't. That's weird because also it's been that and a couple other songs has been coming up for me lately a good bit, so I don't know. That's kind of funny.
I was about to say, did you see the We Are the World documentary on Netflix?
I didn't watch it. I hadn't watched it yet, but I did see it was out there. So
yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. Obviously for folks of our vintage.
Right. Daddy duties and diaper changing kids. Oh, I didn't know you was our dad, Von Gloom. All right, cool.
Congratulations.
Cool. Yeah. Understood though. Understood. Our own Tim is pretty much has been going through that in the last couple of years. Actually, still kind of right. Yeah. But let me go ahead and get get back on track here with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures Continued, number 10. And get out your shiny glove and moonwalk nice. Written by Eric Burnham, art by Dan Schoening, letters by Ed Dukeshire. So if you did not know, this book is set in the world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series of the 80s, the original one, not this all that later stuff that came out and still coming out. With all of the jokes in therein with it. In this particular case, they're going back in time, or at least one of them went back in time. But apparently, that was a short-lived thing because last issue, or at least the last few issues, I guess, since this got restarted, Shredder stole a meteor, made it into a sword. Went up against the Turtles last issue, but that sword got broke and sent him and Leo in the past, where this story pretty much takes place until it ends. But it's the Turtles, and they have a friend who is a time traveler, and of course, that doesn't last as long as I thought it would have. Let's just say. One shout out to Benji Games 2. What's going on, good sir? Glad you can make it through. Yeah, I think the issue, not the issue, but the Von Gloom asked if they were parodying Turtles of Time. I think the cover, yes, and definitely is doing that. The story, in a way, yes, but not really, because like I said, there is some time travel that is done here, but it ends up at the end of this issue because things are kind of back to the present, but Shredder has kind of found, by way of time travel, has used time travel to continue to get what he wants. Let's just put it that way. So this whole story is going to be continued next issue. Yes, Renette is the character who I did not know anything of. That is comes into play here. Or actually, the character has shown up a couple of different times, but they actually put her to work in a way. But yeah, apparently that it was an 80s cartoon thing. I had to look that up because I had not read the original Eastman Laird run, so I did not know that at all. I thought it was from the cartoon. So, but that's that. And like I said, this is the part 2 of 3 in this storyline. So the next issue is probably going to be the end of that, as we might say, welcome to the Terradrome, if Shredder has his way. Next up, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, The Return. Try to speed this up a little bit more because I got a lot of books. If I can find the stupid cover. There we go. It's written by one Pink Ranger, Amy Jo Johnson and Matt Hodson. Illustrated by Nino Leon, colors by Francesco Segala with Gloria Martinelli, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. Gloria, not Gloris. There we go. So, yes, that the character also was in the 2003 cartoons, which I never watched. But so yes, so this book is written by Amy Jo Johnson, which is original Pink Ranger, or co-written, excuse me, by the original Pink Ranger. And I'm not entirely sure where this book sits in relation to the other Mighty Morphin Power Rangers books that are going on. It might be in there, but I'm not up on all of that to be totally sure of that. So not entirely sure. But regardless, what we have here is I guess a present day / future time in the Power Rangers, where the original Rangers are older. Apparently, they made actually the juice bar, the youth center has been memorial, is pretty much a memorial to Trini, which is the original Red Ranger who actually died in real life. And there's also another tribute in here to JDF, who also died, who was Tommy on the show, that they kind of put in here. But we have the rest of the Rangers, or former Rangers, kind of where they were, or where they are now, so to speak. And it weirdly has some Netflix. If you've seen the 30th anniversary special that came out like last year, it kind of has a similar vibe to that, because a similar thing seems like is going to be happening here. But like I said, some of the former Rangers are kind of doing the thing. They're still kind of tapped in, using their powers, but not like that. One of them's missing, so there's a hunt might be going on there. There's one of the Rangers who is the original Pink Ranger, who's kind of trying to keep a low profile and away from the old Ranger stuff because of things going on in her life. Partially because of the loss of Tommy, which is, like I said, they kind of put in this book, and a couple of other things. But it seems like she's going to get put back into she's going to go back into play some kind of way, or some aspect of her is, because like I said, at the end of this issue, something happens that is kind of, like I said, reminiscent of the Netflix special, and I won't go into that to give it away, but Rangers are pretty much forever, so this is not going to be the end of that. Next up for me, Star Trek Defiant number 11, written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Mike Feehan, inks by Maria Keene, and colors by Marisa Louise, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So, folks may or may not know this is the Worf-led book. they've been disavowed by Starfleet, and doing Starfleet's dirt. So, who's chat? What's going on? Okay, well, we'll get back to it. So this is pretty much the last of their deeds. They're basically picking up an old TOS character who's kind of trying to make their own kingdom for themselves, I would say. And the rest of the crew of the Defiant's kind of like, why are we doing all of this? It doesn't mean that we're going to get put back into Starfleet or anything. So needless to say that they're having issues with what's going on. But in the case of this issue, one of them goes undercover, which ends up with Worf ending up entering the Kumite, and things going along that line. And the mission goes kind of the way you would expect a Star Trek mission to go on before the end of this issue, which might lead to a Spider-Man cover, but I don't think you're going to put the Defiant in the trash, if you know what I mean. So, but that is that. Yeah, they're kind of a Black Ops squad, Von Gloom, but they kind of don't want to be there. Some things happened in an arc previous to this that caused them to get to that point. So it was kind of like they didn't have much of a choice. But you'd have to go back and read that stuff to take it out. Which if you're a Star Trek fan, do, because there's some good stuff between that and the Star Trek other ongoing that's going on. There's some good stuff there. Next up, we got Star Wars. Mace Windu #1. Windu, not window. Mark Bernardin, actually, I know Agent 70 knows that name well, who's doing the writing here. Pencils by
Bernardin.
Yep. Georges Jonty is doing the pencils. Dex Devine does the inks. Colors by Andrew Dahlhaus, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So we've talked about this in the past, or at least in the past couple of weeks, because of this thing coming out. So it's a younger Mace Windu, Clone Wars era, and we see him pretty much in mid-mission, but that mission finishes and he gets another one from Yoda, which sends him to find out who, I almost called it Nas, but it's not necessarily the case, who's somebody made a new formula for hyperspace fuel, and if the wrong people get it, hey, that could lead to some bad things that'll be out of their control, because they are pretty much the galactic police at this point. So Mace Windu is sent to go and retrieve someone who just so happens to have that formula, which we meet a new character here who I hope has some legs, but they do have legs, but that's beside the point. Is what I'm talking about. But I'm sure with this, I believe this is a mini series, and I can't remember how many issues, probably 5 though, that this character and Mace are likely probably going to be getting closer to each other. But me saying that is probably saying that, yeah, that's probably something that's not going to happen because, inevitable. But we shall see. But otherwise, it was a pretty interesting first issue, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from there. Now then, here's probably one of the bigger ones for me of this week. Ultimate Black Panther #1, which Agent 70, I assume you were going to probably read this at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not going to spoil
it. I don't know, I was going to say, you can spoil it unless there's like something super dramatic, like some sort of twist that I'm apparently not expecting.
Yes and no, I will say that. I more so no.
Is there MCUification?
Yes and no. Less so than you would think, though.
Okay,
I'll put it that way. Actually, yeah, not. I would say not as much. I'll put it. I'll just go so far as to say that because it is not as much there. Now that being said, there are some things that are different from even the MCU and the 616. Because so for folks that don't know, this is the new Ultimate Universe, not the old Ultimate Universe where the Ultimates and therefore the MCU came out of. Excuse me. But oh, I'm sorry. Actually, let me get the credits real quick. Written by Brian Hill, former guest of the show. Art by Stefano Caselli. Art's good in this. Color artist David Curiel, and letters by BC's Corey Pettit. So in this particular instance of the Ultimates, we still have the Maker, shenanigans is in play, but they don't show up here. Apparently, this version of the Crimson Twins, who are pretty much acolytes of Ra and the god of the moon, who we all know pretty well at this point, are taking over a West African village. T'Challa, who is the king, gets word of this. He makes a plan that's kind of not seen well with the ones around him, but it kind of goes from there. And I'm just going to leave it right there because what happens at the end may or may not have changed things for that situation. So there is an event that happens that we do see, but not in the way that we saw it in the MCU. Let's just not directly one-to-one in the way that we saw it in the MCU, let's just say. And that might be a bit of a spoiler, but nevertheless, it's there. Hopefully that doesn't give you more intention to read it, though. And also there's a relationship that definitely wasn't in the MCU that is shown front and center here, which is kind of interesting to me. So but we shall see. I will get to those comments in a little bit as I finish up my books. Let's see. Did Avengers, we did that. Sensational She-Hulk #5 is my next book. Excuse me. And I know Agent 70 has been reading this book, but probably we'll get to it when he gets to it. So this is a continued team up between She-Hulk, Captain Marvel, and one Patsy Walker Hellcat. This is written by Rainbow Rowell, art by Iguara, color artist D. Cunniff, and letters by, of course, VC's Joe Caramagna. So, like I said, the team up pretty much happens because they were all at a girls' night out, and some demons come and wreck the place, which Patsy didn't too much about. Jen and Carol kind of have some amusing moments in this as things are going by. And because of Patsy Walker, you can't really go too far with her without someone from her past coming into play. And I'll leave it at that. And also, Captain Marvel gives Jen a hard sell, of which one I guess we should have seen coming, but has not played out in the other book which she's associated with. And that is pretty much that one. Next book is Thanos #3 of, actually I don't know how many books, how many issues this one is either. I did not check that out before coming into this. Written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Luca Pizzari with Herman Peralta, color artist Ruth Redmond, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So things pretty much came out in this issue, because if you did not know, and I'm not sure where this is or if this is a what if or whatnot, but there's a new version of the Illuminati around with Emma Frost in the mix, and Blue Marvel, neither of which were in previous iterations of the Illuminati. And apparently, and they've been going after Thanos, and Hulk has been in the book or is in the book. And apparently there is a big thing a deal and a big secret that has come out in this book. And it's not a big secret that's like world shattering or anything, but within the context of this book, it is for, at the very least, the main character. Let's just say that he finds what he's looking for, but ends up not finding where he's trying to get back to. Let's just say, which is going to lead to a very knockdown, drag out next issue from the way this book ends, or it seems to end. But we shall see how that goes down. Last book for me is Superman 78, The Metal Curtain, number 4 of 6. Excuse me. Written by Robert Venditti, art by Gavin Goudry, colors by Jordie Bellaire, and letters by Dave Lamphere. So, folks, if you've been keeping track of this one, this is set in the world of the 78, the Christopher Reeve era Superman series, or Superman movie, excuse me, not series, but there have been a couple of, there has been another miniseries before this one set in that same world. Metallo, who is a Superman hero, has got a new set of, a new suit that I thought looked familiar for some strange reason. And if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover. You can also see a certain bald-headed nemesis kind of come into play, seemingly giving a helping hand to Superman when Metallo comes to the States looking for a rematch. And also answers the question I had about Metallo's said suit, because it was a very familiar looking suit in context of things. So, but of course, Lex being Lex Luthor, we all know and sometimes loathe, he does not do things without having wanting something. So we find out that that's going to be the case going into the next issue. We shall see how that works out next issue. And that is it for my books, Kliqs of the Week.
Kliqs of the Week.
So, Agent 70, do you have yours before I start reading some of these? Or are you still thinking?
I have candidates.
Okay, what you got?
I have candidates. I really did like Fantastic Four number 17.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I wanted to give it to Thundercats, I'm still kind of, I think the look of it kind of killed, like I like the twist in the story, but I think the altered looks kind of screwed with me a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I would still throw Captain America number 6 in, even though I did not have like the most ringing endorsement for it. So I will go with those two. Doctor Strange also came in pretty close. I like the Bat story. Yeah, like as you were saying earlier, the appearance of the man in the mirror, who we're not asking to change his ways apparently. We were taken more by surprise by that because we did not read that one issue, but ultimately, I just enjoyed that it was far more Bats centric than we were even led to believe.
Right.
At least in my opinion. So
no, you're right.
Those are my two candidates. The two main candidates are FF and Captain America.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you with the FF, definitely. Ultimate Black Panther's kind of in there. Some She-Hulk's kind of in there, but that's usually pretty good. So that's that's not really saying much between us.
Right. I mean, are you saying it just didn't stand out? Like, is there more? I missed it. Did you say that this crossover or it's not necessarily a crossover, just the guest appearance by Captain Marvel, is it over in this issue, or is it still carrying on to the next one?
It seems to be over in this issue.
Understood.
Unless she ends up coming back, but
at least this, so it's like a 2-story arc. I gotcha.
Right, but there was a revelation that I forgot to mention at the end of this that I've been wondering about whether it was going to come out or not, and that kind of gets answered near the end of this, I'll say. But yeah. Let's see, what did I say? Thundercats kind of is Thundercats is in there. Defiant's usually pretty good, so I'm not sure if I'm put it in there, but it's up there. Ultimate Black Panther, FF, and Doctor Strange is kind of in the running. But mainly Ultimate Black Panther, Doctor Strange, FF. You know, and Thundercats is kind of teetering out there. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to say
I think I'll go. Well,
you already got it? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think I'm gonna go with FF.
Okay, it's not a bad pick.
I liked it. It was just very, the Braille touch was excellent.
Yes, that is kind of what's tipping it for me as well, because I was like, okay, that was novel. I wasn't expecting that to be the case, or that to even come up.
I give North a lot of credit. Like, his stories have been pretty good, but there have been very subtle additions to the FF canon that I think other creators are going to tap into going forward. I really like some of these.
Right. One would hope. Or at least, at the very least, kind of let themselves express a little bit more. Because, like, Al Ewing is kind of already been doing with a lot of his stuff, and he keeps it kind of fun. Ryan North, has been doing some solid stories and has been doing, having some fun with a lot of them as well. So let's hope that's a trend that continues to be the case going forward. One would hope. So that's Agent 70s. Mine is as much as I hate to be, I know I feel like if I say this, I'm going to be a mark, because there's one or two of them that would be like, yeah, of course he picked that one, because people, if where I usually go in situations like this, is like, yeah, okay, sure, wouldn't be surprised. But that being this case, you know what? No, I am going to do it. Star Trek Defiant number 11. But shout out to Ultimate Black Panther number 1. Definitely, I'm looking forward to checking that book out a little bit more. But Star Trek Defiant continues to be good and fun and whatnot, especially this particular issue, of which there were some folks that were very happy to be going on this plan that was kind of popped up at the last minute. Excuse me. That happens during the course of this issue. And with that, we're going to go into the news section. But first, let me read off a couple. But first, let me read off a couple of these comments here. So yeah, dope. Starfleet Black Ops Squad books. Yeah, that's Starfleet the Starfleet Defiant. Ultimate Black Panther might lead me to drop the regular series because it's so much better than the mainstream Black Panther has been for a while. Well, I mean, that's from all of these are from Von Gloom.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand that. I feel like the current Black Panther story is breaking new ground, as it were.
Right.
And there's a lot of world building, and you have to get through the slog of the world building in order to get to hopefully a decent payoff and hopefully a deeper understanding of Wakanda beyond the capital city.
Right.
Which is, I think, the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, go on.
No, you're right. It's kind of taking him back to street level, like what happened when he took over for Daredevil, but just in a country near his, or in his country rather, I should say.
Right, but in a different city, not in the capital city.
Exactly. So, the old Ultimate Black Panther was a mute Snake Eyes knockoff with retractable claws. I vaguely remember anything from the old Ultimate universe, so you got me on that one. I guess there's a certain Hellas X. Yes, that is definitely the case from She-Hulk. And Shimon, he's wicked and his soul is full of poo-poo. I guess the Michael Jackson references.
Oh, no, now they're flying left and right now.
Yeah.
You really got to watch that We Are the World documentary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I plan to. I just hadn't gotten around to it just yet. So, but I knew it was out there. That being said, we're going to get to our first ad read.
Sure. I was about to say it's a good thing I was not watching the Ranger game because it went into overtime, but the Rangers went in overtime just now.
I don't know what had your attention.
Yeah. Our first ad read of the night is for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torrontés, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. Now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. Now we get into the news.
Oops, sorry. News time. We start off with cinematic news as we do about this time. We're going to start off with some sad news actually, and I'm actually going to take these first 3 since they're all related. Oops, come on, get there.
Oh yeah, I mean we talked about this just before the show, and this is we wanted to make sure we talked about this. We already started with our rapid fire review tribute.
Indeed. And why is this going? That's yes. Carl Weathers, football star, turned actor. Y'all know him from Rocky, The Mandalorian, Happy Gilmore, etc.
Jobs.
Yes, etc. Has passed away at the age of 76. We know the cause of death now, and it is heart disease. I won't say that name again that I said before the show, but it's heart disease. He died on February 2nd at 12:18 a.m. And obviously there's been a lot of outpouring of of sympathy and whatnot for the character that's come out, including one that I saw a little bit ago, which I won't say because it has something to do with a person who should be persona non grata from one of the last things he worked in, or last projects he worked in. But yeah, there is that. So, oh, actually, and the last part of that was that while he has passed on, it won't be the last time you see him, or at least you will see him one last time, because he will be appearing in a Super Bowl commercial, which the Super Bowl is, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend as of this recording. Is that right, or is it next weekend?
No, it's this weekend.
Okay, so I was right. Yeah. So yeah, he's doing a commercial. He was in a commercial for FanDuel, and that's going to show. So which will be the potential, unless he had some projects that are out there that he did before his passing. The one that we see him in next, and possibly the last. So next up, I don't know, unless you had something to say about about things.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, we saw his arc as a character, and as an actor, which is incredible to see, right? Not every actor, not every person gets that opportunity, that longevity in their career, the variety of roles, in order to see someone really expand on their body of work, and to really explore other parts of their personality and their character. We saw the ex-athlete who idolized Muhammad Ali, right? That's obviously who he's taking a lot of Apollo Creed from. But then we saw him turn into, an 80s action star who should have been in more movies, to be honest. And, he was probably like a half generation too early. He was like in that he was in between, actually. He's in between blaxploitation and like 90s, like heavy action, right? Like Wesley Snipes, like Bad Boys, can you imagine if he had been around for that for that kind of rebirth of the action era in like the late 80s and early 90s? If he had been in his prime, that is.
Right.
Oh,
Action Jackson. Sorry, I figured that was the one I got because I actually low-key love that movie.
Right. No, but my point being that like he was like just like that half generation too early, or better put, I think in between.
Yeah.
But then we saw him explore in his in his like more middle age years. Like, I didn't realize he was on Arrested Development. Is that the show that he was on?
He was.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched Arrested Development, so I did not know he was on that. I obviously saw him in Happy Gilmore.
Well,
right?
I think he kind of, it was like a guest appearance, and I can't remember if he was playing himself because I remember seeing like clips of the show. He wasn't like on the show regularly, I don't think, but he was like kind of,
maybe he was like a regular guest appearance.
I think so.
Guest star. Right. So he didn't have like he had like a smaller recurring role, I guess. The bottom line is, I did not know he was on that.
Right.
And we'd seen him obviously in Happy Gilmore. That was great. And then he made his recent resurgence on The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, it was great to see him kind of, go in different directions. And like I said, it's a great thing to be able to have, to be able to see that kind of evolution and expansion on a body of work.
Right. So, but yes, rest in power, good sir.
Absolutely.
Actually, probably will go back and watch Action Jackson at some point soon.
Right.
And as you said before the show, Predator.
Right. Exactly. I was saying before, either Predator, Rocky, or both. Like the original. Rocky 1 and 2. 3 always makes me laugh because of them working together finally.
Right.
And 4 is always sad because of if he dies, he dies.
Yeah. And he does. So no, I'm not doing that one, definitely.
I mean, 4, like I hate to say this, I kind of fast forward past that part.
Fair.
If I can.
No, that's fair.
I don't want to see this again. I'd rather see, America be
Right.
I always fast forward to the training sequence in the mountains, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Rock's in Siberia doing his training, that's when I try to fast forward to.
Right, which is totally fair. Totally fair.
Anyway, next up, Jeremy Renner says he will be, quote, strong enough for MCU return after his snowplow accident. So he has chronicled his recovery journey over the past year and officially returned to work in January, filming the 3rd season of Mayor of Kingstown. Now he's back in front of the camera. Renner told Entertainment Tonight that he is, quote, ready to answer the call if Marvel Studios wants him back as Hawkeye. Good for him, because that was a scary story when that came out.
Right. So, and luckily, I mean, yes, there's a certain bit of physicality to Hawkeye, but I suspect, while he is, has been on the mend, there's still some stuff he still couldn't do. So, and I know he's also doing, I don't know if he's actually been in the last couple of Mission Impossible movies, but I know he at least did one of them. So I don't know but I think that's probably coming to wherever it is. So like you said, good for him. Next up, Shang-Chi Star says, we need to give the people a sequel because, sure. Simu Liu joined the superhero fatigue conversation apparently and shared his support for the genre, teasing the upcoming Shang-Chi 2. February 1st, Simu Liu hopped on Threads to share his support for the genre. And apparently he has declared himself an unabashed fan of the superhero as a genre, quote unquote. So, sure.
I mean, I would hope so. He's the star of the movie.
Well, I mean, you know, you don't necessarily have to just get that check, but you know, it
Fine.
helps. Definitely helps.
Anyway, next up. So apparently it's official. Pedro Pascal will be Mr. Fantastic, aka Reed Richards, in a post on Instagram. Fantastic Four director Matt Shackman, he put in a story officially posted that Pascal will play Reed. So yeah, this was put out in SAG-AFTRA news, or not news, but like
a listing. Right.
Yeah, listing. So you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm not happy with it, but I'm okay with it. You know, I like Pedro Pascal as an actor. I just don't see him as Reed Richards. It's just a visual thing.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, there is that. And I mean, I was going to say, like, the only other person they would probably get is Krasinski, who's already made that turn. Yeah, who's already made that turn. So, you know, people like Pedro Pascal. So it was, you know, it was probably somewhat of an inevitability to where people were going to want them, because I know that's been kind of out there.
Right.
So
he's probably going to need to like drop a little bit of weight, I think, because I think he's a little on the stockier side.
That's never stopped him before, and they're probably just going to give him in a suit, you know, as we have seen with other characters. That's never really stopped him. But I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with this also, but as long as it doesn't interfere with the Mandalorian stuff, one, but also it's kind of like, you know, I like the guy also, but they could have really found somebody else for this. They don't necessarily like, hey, he's the popular favorite. Just doesn't have to be the case all the time.
Right.
That, I guess that is of a similar nature where I am with it. So, hey, hopefully it works out. Now they just got to get the rest of that whole thing situated and see what we come up with. Next up, though, so we talked about last week that Kevin Conroy, aka the voice of Batman, would potentially be back to, well, will not be back, sorry, but will have a couple of other roles that his voice will be lended to, and one of them has been confirmed not to be the case. So apparently Bruce Timm, who is the producer on Batman the Cape Crusader, says that Kevin Conroy would not appear in that series. Because apparently it was confirmed that he never got a chance to record his lines for that show before he passed. So we know Conroy is going to be in Crisis on the Infinite Earths. The 3-parter that is coming up. He definitely just was in the Suicide Squad video game that just came out. So it seems as though Crisis on Infinite Earth is probably going to be the last recordings of Batman / Bruce Wayne in animated form. Von Gloom says Neil Patrick Harris worked for Reed in his headcanon. I kind of can see that, I guess. Maybe if Marvel allowed the television and movie creative team to read the source material, the fans would receive better content. I think it's probably a little bit more than that, but because they do have some book creatives, you know, as creative consultants on a lot of that stuff. So I can't say that would change anything with the MCU. So, or at least by much, but who's to say? Anyway, next up.
All right. According to The Wrap, Amazon, Netflix, and Paramount Plus were more than interested in securing the rights to debut Coyote vs. Acme, the film, for themselves after Warner Brothers changed stances and gave the filmmakers behind the live-action CGI hybrid project a chance to shop it around to other studios. Each of the studios reportedly submitted handsome offers, but apparently they all fell short of the figure Warner Brothers Discovery wanted.
Considering it was a project that they were just gonna get rid of in the first place, I find that slightly bunk. But also, I don't know if this article says it or another one was like some Warner Brothers executive hadn't even seen the project, but still was kind of turning folks down for it. So I was like, okay, well, but also on brand for WP at this point because they don't even know what the hell they're doing. Masters of the Universe reveals massive He-Man and Skeletor connection, confirms 38-year-old tease. And this is, I guess, spoilers for Masters of the Universe Revolution, which is out on Netflix. And I feel like this particular quote-unquote spoiler is something that came out in a book or two. But it says here that there's this new origin story for Skeletor, who is actually Keldor, the brother of King Randor. And I feel like that's definitely come out in a Masters of the Universe book that wasn't related to this prior to this. But it does say here that the connection between He-Man and Skeletor has been hinted at before, including a comic book tie-in from 38 years ago. I think from what I remember was a little bit more recent than that, but hey, here's what it is. So, spoiler alert if you hadn't seen that yet, which I hadn't seen neither one of those, the one prior to this and this one. So, next up.
All right.
Oh, it's good that you got this one.
Why?
You'll see.
So, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, a new anime adaptation set 250 years before the original trilogy, is scheduled to release in December 2024. Despite, the challenges, this movie has the potential to set a new box office record for the franchise, because if it earns 200 million, it will make The Lord of the Rings a $6 billion franchise. That's kind of crazy.
You Steve Austin.
It's released December 13th, 2024.
Right.
I can't believe it's almost 10 years after the last Hobbit film, which I never saw in theater.
And that Amazon show is still kind of out there in the wind.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of wild. But yeah, you being Lord of the Rings fan, I figured you'd appreciate that.
Sure.
Von Gloom says that the 2002 show did the same thing, talking about the last article and the Sealy book. I think the Sealy book is the one I was thinking about. And he also says the 2002 He-Man was good. The Cartoon Network canceled it too soon. If it's the one I'm thinking about, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, that's kind of how things happened. Beetlejuice 2 gets.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I didn't chime in on this. I actually watched this.
Which what?
The Masters of the Universe Revolution. That is.
Oh, okay.
I watched it. I meant to chime in, but I was busy reading the Lord of the Rings article.
No problem. So wait, so did you watch the one? I assume you watched the one before it also that led into this?
Yes.
Yeah. How was it?
It was good. It's fun. It's still very jarring to hear Mark Hamill be Skeletor, because there are definitely elements of the Joker in there.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the updates to the story are pretty good.
Right. I feel like I watched like the first like minute or two of that first one, and I was like, I'll come back to this at some point.
Understood.
So, yeah. Or matter of fact, yeah, because I think it got to a point where something happened, and it was like, oh yeah, I definitely need to come back to this, and I didn't. So actually, it was probably more than that. I think I watched that because like that whatever that first half was. So either way, okay. Beetlejuice 2 gets a clever new title and first poster. So yeah, there's going to be a new Beetlejuice movie, and it's called Beetlejuice. Say it one more time, and it appears. Which I doubt they'll do that for the next one, if there is a next one. And it's going to, and here's the poster if you're watching the video version, and it's going to come out September 6th, 2024, which I know Agent 70 and I talked about after the last show or the show before last, because we were looking through we were seeing what the protocol schedule was going to be like for this year, and it's grim. So there's not a whole lot that we're probably going to go on movie protocol for.
Not for a while.
Yeah, as of right now. Yeah, a Beetlejuice sequel after like 30 plus years. I mean, hey, it's not the first time they've done something like that. Hey, Tron was done after 30 years. Sequel to Tron was done after 30 years. So, and there's another one coming. So, Not the first, probably won't be the last. Next up, though.
All right, so apparently there's going to be a Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie, and Jim Carrey is coming back with some more names that have been linked as new cast members, but we don't know what roles they're going to be playing. So in addition to Jim Carrey, Kristen Ritter is joining the movie with Alyssa Brown, James Woke, Sofia Pernas, Cristo Fernandez, and Horma Tacone. Okay.
Only 2 names on that list are ones that I know of, and one that I actually would probably know by sight, or person that would know by sight actually. Kristen Ritter's also doing that Orphan Black sequel with prequel thing, which I don't think has come out yet. So interesting. Speaking of that, Sonic. Speaking of Sonic, Sonic spinoff Knuckles will hit Paramount Plus on April 22nd or 26th. Excuse me. It's going to be 6 episodes where Knuckles the Echidna, who's the side character in the Sonic universe, is going to be training a human to become a warrior. Hopefully there won't be another interspecies kiss like that one video game, folks. Or maybe there will be. Who's to say? Apparently Idris Elba is once again voicing Knuckles and will be training Adam Pally, who is a name I feel like I've seen before, but I would have to see his face. I don't know. I feel like I've seen that name before, but I don't know. There goes his retirement. Not sure what that means, but Jim Carrey's retirement. Yeah, I guess, got bills to pay. So next up though.
All right. Sonic creator is behind Toei's most ambitious anime feature ever. So Toei Animation's newest film features a story and characters from Naoto Oshima, creator of Sonic the Hedgehog, called Hypergalactic. Anyway.
Yeah, that's right there.
New film is described as the studio's most ambitious film to date. All right.
So yeah,
Hypergalactic is an English language CG action adventure. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's you pretty much said it. There's a couple of names involved in this, and I'm like, that's something, I guess. But this article also puts us square into the anime corner.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You were saying, we're going into the anime corner. That's right. I just wanted to add that it's interesting that the article cites J.K. Simmons as being in Whiplash. I'm like, seriously?
It's Polygon. That stuff happens.
I'm just saying.
But also, yeah, I'm kind of surprised also because, yeah, like, okay, you could say the Spider-Man movies. You could say Invincible at this point, but Whiplash of all things.
Right.
That is kind of funny how articles do that. But anyway, anime corner.
Anime corner. All righty. Let's pick a good one out. I haven't played that in a while.
Yeah, no, you just reminded me. I have to rip my archive my my Blu-ray collection of that I just pulled out. But actually, I was kind of expecting you to pull up something else, but you will have a chance to do that in a little bit. Spy Family Code White is coming to North America in theaters April 19th. So if you're caught up on Spy Family, and I don't know why you shouldn't be, although I am not, so I can't talk.
No.
You are already prepared for the coming of the Forger Family in theater form. So, and apparently the North America is not the only place this being released, but of course, given where we are, it's the only one we kind of care about specifically. Right. The movie will be available in English subtitles and dubbed, apparently, according to this article.
Hey, they put it out in the dub for the little kids.
But stop it. We're not going to dub shame here, but we're subs around this camp.
Mm-hmm.
Well, subtitles. Excuse me, I forgot. There's a subsection that might take that a different way. But yeah, I will definitely find myself trying to be caught up by the time this comes out in April. So, which actually brings us to the next story, by the way.
So Funimation's app will officially sunset in April. Funimation subscribers can access their anime history and queue on Crunchyroll by merging their accounts. So April 2nd, 2024 is the last day of the Funimation website and app services. So since the 2021 announcement of Funimation folding into Crunchyroll, anime fans have had the option to subscribe to both, while Crunchyroll intermittently migrates Funimation's catalog onto the platform. Now, Funimation users will have 2 months to either cancel their subscription or merge their Funimation and Crunchyroll accounts before Funimation sunsets. Let's see here. Yeah, so you can combine Funimation and Crunchyroll data, and that I actually had to do this on my Crunchyroll account.
I did, yeah. Matter of fact, I did it right before the show, actually, because I logged into Crunchyroll and it gave me the prompt. I'm like, oh, okay. Which I hadn't used Funimation in I don't know how long, so it didn't really matter that much. But the kicker in this article, which has some people upset, is that if you bought any digital purchases from Funimation, you no longer have access to those.
Yikes.
Yeah. Oh, and the other kicker is Crunchyroll's prices are going up.
Like everything else.
Yeah. And I believe I saw the price is going to be 100. So it's 80 now for a yearly. So I think it's going to, if I saw correctly, it's going up to 100.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So if you are, well, if your subscription is about to come up anytime soon, you might want to just go ahead and I don't know, go and get a gift certificate for 80 now and deal with that next year.
Yeah. Right.
But you have until April 2nd, and I'm not sure when the new pricing structure is going to come in, but likely it's probably going to be around the same time.
Right. Next
up, though, Haikyuu the movie, decisive battle at the garbage. Oh, come on. What are you doing? At the garbage dump, runtime has been revealed.
There we go.
So yeah, I don't know. Agent 70, do you care?
How long it is?
Yes.
Kind of. I mean, I know it's not going to be that long. It's animation. It's never going to be like 2 hours plus.
Nope. 1 hour, 25 minutes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. February 6th, it's hitting theaters in Japan starting on February 16th. I'm not sure. Does it say when it's going to come?
They have not released details of when it's coming to the States.
So there you go.
I mean, they just now released the Spy X Family or the Spy Family one. You know, right. the news on that. So I feel like that obviously has a you know, it's a hotter anime. It's current. So I understand why that news is out there. You know, I would think that there's some undercurrent of Haikyuu fandom out there that will want to see this in the theaters.
Oh yeah, you.
In addition to me.
Yes. I'm very certain there are definitely you know, because there's if anime and manga can tell you anything, there is a swelling of fandom for pretty much almost any, you know, any notable anime or manga. Especially one that gotten as popular as Haikyuu had. So.
Right. And this is the first of 2 movies.
Correct.
So it's an hour and 25. If you put it together, it's an hour 25 with probably another hour 25.
Quite likely, yeah. So Von Gloom says 100 for a yearly. Guess that's cheaper than other subscriptions yearly. I'm not entirely sure about that. But Crunchyroll being the bigger of those ones, you know, there is that. Because I think like High Dive is probably like $7 a month. I'm not sure how much it is, or 7 or 8 months a month. I'm not sure how much it is yearly, if it even has a yearly. So, And I guess in comparison to like if you put Netflix into the equation, probably.
Hmm.
Um, what's
It's
that?
just tough now because, they're obviously in the midst of trying to crack down on the password sharing,
Yes.
and we still have not seen, but it can't be far away, like actual cracking down.
Right.
So we'll see how all that flies.
True. Is Haikyuu a sports anime? Yes, it's volleyball.
Oh yeah, volleyball.
Mm-hmm. And is High Dive any good? I don't know. I haven't really messed with High Dive. I've been wanting to kind of go on that and kind of check it out. Also, Retro Crush is out there, and that's still pretty cheap. But that also shows, as the name would apply, older anime, a lot of older anime than say Crunchyroll probably has. Although it does have a good share of that also. So like I said, there's stuff out there. There's stuff that's still cheaper, but it's what's on those platforms is going to be the key for a lot of people. No, Retro Crush is still free, but you can pay for it for some other reason. I think you get because you get ads. A lot of them are going ad based at this point. High Dive might be the same way, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But anywho, we are going. Oh no, we're still in the manga corner. So. Marvel announces Spider-Man, Octogirl, and X-Men Volume 1 manga titles from Viz Media. Both of said titles will be available in fall 2024. So yeah, this is, I guess, coming off the heels of Deadpool, Samurai, and Spider-Man Fake Red. And I would also put in, what was that? Spider-Man and Iron Man one, reverse something, but I don't know if that was Viz Media or not. So I might be wrong about that part. But another in a line of Marvel related manga, which also reminds me of wanting to go back and check out those X-Men anime that might still be on Netflix, but I'm not entirely sure, and I don't think they have it on Disney Plus. I don't know. Tentacles in anime seem a bit suspicious. I mean, look, it's Dark Arc. What are you gonna do? Yeah, this art. So the video version, you can see the cover for the Spider-Man one, and I guess they're going with Liv's version of Doc Ock as a little girl. I don't know. So either way, oh wait, no. So I'm just gonna read a little bit of this. After a battle with Spider-Man, the evil genius scientist Dr. Octopus falls into a coma. Sounds familiar. When he wakes up, his consciousness is in the body of Atoha Okutamiya, a middle school girl in Tokyo. Sounds very familiar. Thus begins the strange school life of Spider-Man's biggest rival as a normal Japanese girl. So that is no, Otto doesn't have a kid. He's just, his mind is inhabiting a kid's body in this manga. So yeah. And then the X-Men one, looks like looks like a manga edition of the animated series from what this cover looks like. So cool. Next up.
All righty. So in an effort to remind us all that you know what? I'm waiting for my sound effects to refresh. Where is it? Oh my god, where could it be? How did I lose it? That's so crazy. What it is
Oh, yeah, I'm picking you off this shit.
There it is.
because Marvel is set to create an omnibus of the Danny Ketch era of Ghost Rider, which is the Ghost Rider from our high school years
Mm-hmm.
and college years, really, from for us. So
For us, yeah.
bottom line is this will be a 1,216-page hardcover, which will collect several books, including primarily the 1990 Ghost Rider run, issues 1 through 24. And yeah, that's wild, man. I know that run of Ghost Rider went on for a while, but this is, I guess, the first chunk of this omnibus.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
They're gonna get that money. And there are, surprisingly enough, probably a good number of Danny Ketch fans over Johnny Cage. I mean, Johnny. No, it is Johnny Cage. Danny Blaze, excuse me. I don't know why I mixed up those two.
I mean, to me, they're equal because they brought Blaze into the back into the Marvel universe around this time. You know, for me, that's just my own personal take. Right? I always liked the Ketch design.
Right.
You know, the Ghost Rider that Saltaris and Teixeira put together is always just very striking to me. You know, because it's black and gray and with the chain. You know, the chain is the one thing that they brought in that has stayed and even kind of moved over to the Blaze version of Ghost Rider. And I still play Ghost Rider once in a while as a character on Marvel vs. Capcom.
There we go. I was wondering if it was going to come back to that.
He's fun.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yes, he was and is. To answer Von Gloom's question, I'm not sure. It doesn't say in this article whether it's and I'm not familiar with a lot of that stuff, whether it will include the Noble Kale stuff. That I'm not entirely sure. But if you can see what's collected out of this, it might be able to give you an idea, but I'm not entirely sure.
I think this predates the Noble Kale stuff, but I'm not sure.
Gotcha. But actually, Von Gloom said that Danny was his Ghost Rider.
Right.
Like Kyle Rayner is his Green Lantern. So there you go.
Oh, with that awful face mask. But anyway.
And the fridging. Anywho, yes, that's the only thing I'm thinking about with Kyle Rayner, even though he has progressed as of late. Speaking of Ghost Rider, Ghost Rider names Marvel's most important human alive, which sounds like something out of Terminator. And this is a spoiler for The Incredible Hulk #8 of all things. Which Age 70, you were reading that. Did you fall off or you?
I fell a little bit. I skimmed this and I saw that this is a different version of Ghost Rider.
Right.
And it's a very interesting premise, but you know, there's a lot of like really dark things happening in the pages of Hulk right now. So, you know, sometimes the art gets a little muddy for me, but you know, the story's okay so far.
Gotcha. Which Nick Lane usually does some fairly decent art.
Yeah, it's just I think it's the art and the coloring, you know, together, especially you know, because this is like a very dark story. It's just got a little muddy for me.
Excuse me. So something about the Hulk and his new sidekick Charlie joined the community of migrant workers and that the child and his family was a part of. It's not the Hulk who's in danger, but the creatures that followed him into the community. And I guess the kid he's with is the one that is the John Connor of this particular story. So for reasons, but okay. And Ghost Riders, there's a version of Ghost Rider here for a reason also. Next up. There we go. Ultimate Black Panther's second printing explores a new vision of Wakanda. So yeah, Ultimate Black Panther already got a second printing, and will return to comic shops on the 13th. There was a part of that I forgot, I neglected to mention, but it is still a thing. But that if Agent 7 is going to read it, he might want to read for himself.
Sure.
So I'll let him get it back and get to me when he gets to reading on that, if it's something that is impressive upon him. But yeah, if you're watching the video version, you can see the second printing variant cover with the various characters on it. Yeah. Part of which might be a spoiler to some folks or not, but hey. It's worth checking out, I believe. Next up.
All right, so we have a preview here from the pages of Marvel.com for Ms. Marvel, Mutant Menace #1. It is again written by Aman Vellani and Sabir Pizada, and the art is by Scott Godlewski. And this is you know, exploring Kamala Khan's mutant identity in Ms. Marvel, Mutant Menace #1. This is going to be coming out soon, March 6th.
Yep. And you can see a preview page in the article right there. Von Gloom says, I'm curious to see if there will be an Ultimate M'Baku. I know people have been asking about that lately, and I don't think Brian Hill's been saying one way or another, but I think outside of stay tuned from what I've seen on his Twitter. You know, so I'm also kind of curious of that, but we shall see. Some good news or some sad news, depending on where you lie on this particular field. Speaking of fields, Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld is retiring from the character after 33 years. I saw his very long Twitter post or when he announced it. I'm sitting like, you were really long-winded there, pal. But yeah, I don't know. Wait, is it on here? Because remember Twitter used to have a character limit. I think he might have busted that joker wide open. Wait here, I will pull it up. But Paraphrase said like he had his time, yada yada yada. I don't know. I'm not very crazy about whatever, or Deadpool for that matter. But yeah, if you're watching the video for second, video version, you can see the length of this whole of his Twitter post, along with the caption, along with a bunch of covers that I guess he did, or whatever the case may be. So he says, he does say, I'll complete this journey with over 1,000 pages alongside my mercenary misfit. I'll finish this one last Deadpool story, and trust me, it's a wild one, et cetera, et cetera, whatever. But that's just in the middle of this whole thing. Oh yeah, that's going to be released this summer. So cool. But I mean, I know Deadpool's not going anywhere, but hey, I guess that's good. The funny part about it is I've seen other people who have nothing to do with it. Like, I too am retiring from the character of Deadpool, which has been kind of funny. So when he isn't ranting about when isn't he ranting about something? He's been a grumpy old man the longest. Yeah, Liefeld's kind of been out there. That's why I don't really pay him that much attention. But forget it. Hey, that's news.
Right. I'm circling back to a story.
Okay.
Moon Knight and Miss Marvel TV writer Sabir Pizada is making his debut in creator-owned comics with Dandelion, a one-shot anthology of sci-fi stories, all written by Pizada, with each story drawn by a different artist. This book one-shot will be coming out on June 12th.
Thank you for that. I don't know how I must not have clicked it, but
you just wanted to jump at the Liefeld story. I know.
No, not really. I don't like your Liefeld, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, but now you get to do a story you might like. Go ahead.
Sure, but yeah, that Moon Knight, the Pasado story. That's good. You know.
Yeah, something new, something creator owned.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what we see about that. Star Wars announces new Ahsoka series in summer 2024. So yeah, Ahsoka's getting her own comic book, or I guess another one, because I know there's been like one shots and whatnot. Is it based off of the TV show? If this cover is to be believed, possibly. But on February 2nd, StarWars.com confirmed on its website that Marvel Comics will be releasing its first comic series starring Ahsoka, Star Wars Ahsoka, this July, chronicling the former Jedi Knight's adventures with Sabine, Professor Huyang, and Hera. So that just answered that question right then and there. The comic book series will adapt Ahsoka Season 1, as well as events from fellow Star Wars shows The Mandalorian and Obi-Wan Kenobi for the 8 issues miniseries. This is funny. The Boondocks and Marvel's Runaways writer, because this is, this is CBR doing this, so this writer-producer Rodney Barnes is described for the upcoming series. Quote, "It is truly an honor to be adapting Ahsoka," Barnes said. "The character is the essence of classic Star Wars, layered, complex, and fun. I hope the fans enjoy this adaptation as much as the series is adapted from." Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there not another series that Rodney Barnes is doing that is of note to you?
Yeah.
You know, normally you would have brought it up by now, but But yes, he's also writing Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So I was about to say, I thought the reason why they said those was because this was a Marvel article, but it's not. It's CBR that put this article out there. So it's funny that they use that, not the current book he's doing.
Right. But at the end of the day, I understand. You know, it's what it is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those funny things.
I mean, I
those
love the
choices.
Boondocks, so I ain't mad at that. But
Yeah, I feel like Boondocks probably has a higher profile. That's probably why. I think that's why, you know, they use that, you know, in that other story. You know what I mean?
I guess, yeah, that's usually the case, I suppose. But it's still kind of weird. But Runaways, though.
It's a TV show, you know. They
also
kept
a TV
it
show.
TV.
Yeah,
You know, they kept it you know, because that's what he worked on. He worked on the TV show, not the comic.
I know, but the man's doing. You already know. We never go to. It's just weird. As Von Gloom says, CBR be CBR. Yeah, you're right. You are right. Next up, though.
All right. So speaking of weird headlines, so apparently the Justice League's Metamorpho has revealed he's the son of a famous archaeologist, a revelation that puts a dark spin on his grim origin. So Metamorpho's backstory is expanded with the introduction of his father, Montana Mason, an archaeologist who strongly differs from his son in terms of motivations and values. And this is spoilers for Batman Superman World's Finest 2024 Annual. I guess that came out last week or the week before, or maybe this week.
Last week, actually. And I meant to read that, and I didn't. Because, yeah, they've been kind of... Because Metamorpho has been in Batman Superman, and they kind of been teasing some things with him, and I guess this was that. So, sure, that's the thing. Some sad news. Jose Delbo, classic Wonder Woman and Transformers artist, passes away at 90. Let's see. Is best known for his long run on Wonder Woman and his acclaimed stint on the Transformers in the late 80s. That would be the Marvel book, of course. He's born in Argentina, began his career as a professional comic book artist when he was 16 in Argentina. When he got to when he came to the West, he did Billy the Kid. Then that's where he got his Western start in Charlton Comics, and then I guess it ended up moving on to such stuff as Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen and a whole bunch of other stuff which I won't name before going into Wonder Woman and the Marvel Transformers book, which I keep saying I'm going to go back and reread at some point. But
he drew the Thundercats book that we referenced earlier.
Yes. Also Captain Planet and NFL Super Pro, which, wow, it's been a while since I've heard that. A couple other Starline joints, if I'm not mistaken. I recognize the art for sure, but didn't know his name. Yeah, that's kind of a lot. That happens a lot, at least for me, with a lot of these older stuff. But that Transformers run, love that joint. So, yeah, but there is that. Condolences to his family. Next up.
Alrighty. An iconic Transformers Autobot will appear in Void Rivals. So, the Energon universe is expanding further, with Skybound's Void Rivals #9 introducing an Autobot from the Transformers the movie. Should I spoil it?
I mean, I'm already watching. I'm looking at the cover, so go for it.
Okay, it's going to feature the Autobot known as Springer. First seen in the middle of the Generation 1 continuity, Springer has become a fan favorite due to his status as the original Autobot triple changer. I hate to say this, folks, but who?
Yeah, Agent 7 is not a big Transformers.
I'm not that deep in Transformers. Yes. I'm very much early Generation 1.
Right. So, okay, and Von Gloom asked this question, and I was going to say already go ahead and say, like, I like Springer. Don't get me wrong. From the later seasons from the movie and the later seasons of Transformers, iconic I would not say at all. I like him as a character, but iconic's a little strong. Mm-hmm. They definitely use him a whole lot, so he definitely got popular. Plus, he was a triple changer. So hey, who didn't like the triple changers?
I didn't know about Triple Changers.
Oh man, yeah. Astro Train. Well, I know I had Astro Train. That was the only one I had. And Blitzwing was the other one on the Decepticon side, and I didn't have Springer. And I can't. I think Springer was the only one.
Those are the Transformers that were a little bit after not after my time, because I knew of Astro Train, and I knew, but it just wasn't when I was collecting. I don't think I had the juice with my parents to get those kinds of Transformers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Understood. I don't remember how I even got them, but it is what it is. So yeah, if you haven't been keeping up with the whole Energon universe, it's I guess it's not that big of a surprise. It wouldn't be the first Cybertronian to be in the pages of Void Rivals. Is it its first one they put front and center on a cover though, unless you count variant covers. So yeah, I love that for the Les Springer is a wrecker, and I know him from that. Yeah, I went back and read that stuff. So that's cool. So yeah, that's for an upcoming Void Rivals, which I will still be on, just like the Transformer stuff and all that. Speaking of, Transformers debuts a G1 icon. Again, screenwrite with these, a little bit of hyperbole, but as Starscream assembles a true Decepticon army. Spoiler alerts, it's a Constructicons. So therefore,
I mean, that's more iconic than Springer.
I still think
they were always jobbers in the cartoon, but
oh god. I guess there's some truth to that, but especially when the rest of the I guess as they call them now, combiners came along. Because Devastator was coming up. It was going to be a problem. And again, the Dinobots took them down, so that's kind of funny in itself. Either way, so yeah, Devastator's coming into, I think this is the next issue of Transformers. Because from what I remember of what Starscream and Soundwave have been doing, yeah, it's I guess I can see where that was going to come into play at some point. But although it also changes some things that we know from the series, which it continues to do. So, and this, I guess, yeah, comes from the solicitations, which I know. No, Transformers not a hold. Void Rivals is the one that hold because of the Transformers G.I. Joe stuff. So yeah, sure, it was bound to happen one way or another. Megatron's due to come back at some point, even though we've already seen him. So therein lies that. A new Marvel game has been announced. Although it is a spinoff of an older game, apparently. I thought this was kind of interesting. There is a let's see, is it German? There's a game that's getting a new translation from Brazilian, publishers, which I will not say, but features players traveling to various locations to find certain iconic comics for their collection. The player with the most covers or comics is the winner, and they're making a Marvel version of that. Excuse me. And the game is called Comic Book Hunters, where players compete to build the best collection in Marvel Comics, or at least this version of the book. But I guess there's another version that's just a general one. It's going to be published by Arcane Wonders and Spin Master later this year, being 2024. So there's a good chance I will probably be looking for that. That seems kind of interesting to me anyway. The Comic Book Hunters will be released in hobby stores and specialty markets in the fall of this year before moving to a global distribution in 2025. So I guess holiday is the time to look out for that game. Yeah. The Daniel Warren Johnson series is crazy enough already. Devastator's runner. Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on in that series. I love it. I've been loving it so far. Next up, though.
Already next up, Daredevil is celebrating his 60th anniversary this year, and Hasbro is not going to let that milestone pass without a little bit of Marvel Legends love. So we're getting a Hasbro Pulse exclusive Spider-Man animated series, Marvel Legends, Daredevil, and Hydro Man 6-inch action figures in a VHS 2-pack. So these are inspired by some of their cartoon and animated looks. We're getting a Hydro Man that's all water this time, because the one that we got before was like mostly human with like water hands. So I definitely got that. But this is like an all water Hydro Man. And we have a Daredevil that's kind of that's red with a lot of black highlights, which is a little bit more animation faithful, but not necessarily comic book faithful.
Right.
So if you like this look, you know, I definitely see the appeal for it. Especially, I think this is pinless, so you're definitely getting the pinless version of Daredevil. You know, whether or not you like this, hey, it's already up there for pre-order. It hit pre-orders on Thursday, February 8th.
Indeed. Sideshow Dazzler and Spider-Man Premium Format 1/4 statues up for pre-order, by the way, if you're interested in that. So we got a Disco Dazzler and we have a Spidey with it looks like he's perched on top of a building with some of his rogues gallery on the side. But that Dazzler doesn't look that bad. Got the skates and everything, but it is a statue, it's not a figure. So, and these things are pricey. Is there
that's fun, but listen, if you're a collector like that, then you know, why not?
Right. There's the Dazzler from the back, as this article put it on, and then there's the Spidey from the front, and then there's a little closer shot of the Spidey. Which, let's see, their price for these jobbies expensive. Oh, wow, $740 for the Spidey. Yeah, and I assume the
$735 Dazzler.
Yeah, so both of them were relatively priced. That's ridiculous. That's Sideshow. So, next up,
there's a lot to there's a lot to those.
Yeah,
I mean, when I say a lot, I mean there's a lot of material. Basically, it's not just the figure. There's background. There's you know, basically the stand that they're on. So yeah, those things are not cheap
and detailed.
Absolutely. Alrighty, next up, we have the Skull Ship and the Bug lead McFarlane's latest superpowers toys. So this is DC stuff, DC superpowers. So you get Brainiac with the Skull Ship, and you get the Bug Ship, which is obviously Blue Beetle. This is old school, very 80s, very superpower style stuff.
Right. There you go.
If you're watching get a Kilowog though.
So what?
It's cool that you get a Kilowog in this latest wave.
Yeah. See, there's old school Brainiac. There's a Gray Batman. There's Kilowog.
It looks like a Japanese Batman because you see the writing.
That's probably from the manga. That's probably the case. And there's Kilowog. So there's Ted Cord, Blue Beetle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah. Speaking of McFarlane toys and Transformers, apparently McFarlane Toys has some Transformers and G.I. Joe figures that's just been revealed. I guess it sounds like there was a loophole that made him that allowed him to be able to make these toys. So
really,
I saw that. I don't know if it's in this article or it's another one. It might be in the next one. I can't remember because it's not the.
It's obviously not Hasbro, right? So that's what's interesting,
right? So yeah, the first line of it says Todd McFarlane has long expressed desire that every toy license held by other companies could include a loophole that says he gets to make one figure. He seems to have found it and simply and gotten slightly more than one. It was announced in the business deal last deal that McFarlane Toys will partner with Hasbro licenses for their 3-inch Page Punchers line of figures packed with comics. The concept is to make a comic and a small toy that kids can afford. Now it's going to cross license, which includes DC, Spawn, and Pacific Rim. It means a whole array of similarly sized figures compatible with one another. So buckle up. There's going to be more more in this line. And there's a G.I. Joe line also. Looks like the pack is going to be $16.99 or thereabout, according to this article, for the G.I. Joe and Transformers page punchers. Each figure sports 6 points of articulation. Page punches also go to 7-inch scale for DC's license, but pre-existing 7-inch deals with Super 7 may preclude those from happening with Hasbro characters. And as I scroll through some of these ones, you got the Cobra Commander and a Viper. Is that a type of, yeah. Or Crimson Guard, not a Viper, excuse me. Snake Eyes, looks like Duke. Wheeljack, Bumblebee, and Optimus Prime, and Megatron, of course, along with wow, hadn't seen those books in a while. It looks like it's from, some of these are from the old IDW books and previous ones, the books that are coming with them. So oh, I guess I don't know if these transform though. I don't think they are. They're just figures. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like they do.
6 points of articulation is not enough.
Yeah.
So that's like legs, like hips, like legs, arms. That's 4.
Right. So
Leg, arms, neck is 5. So 6. The 6th one might be the hips, the waist. There might be a waist swivel.
I mean, there are some Transformers that can transform in 6 in 6 ways, but yeah, none of those. So it doesn't matter regardless. Next up.
All right, so that's the McFarlane story. So I have Hasbro reveals Transformers Generations Comic Edition, Shockwave and Grimlock. So let's see here.
I remember that cover.
Oh yeah, I remember that cover.
Mm-hmm.
The Transformers Generations Comic Edition, Shockwave recreates Marvel comic cover. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I remember that cover being iconic. That's truly iconic.
I remember this inside that they have for the Shockwave figure. If you watch the video version, you're seeing it right now. That's good old Shockwave turns into a, well, wait. Why did it look like he's turning into a ship? That's not right. Shockwave is a gun. Just like Megatron, he's a gun.
Right. So, let's see here. So Grimlock is set to retail for $59.99, but Shockwave is only going to cost $39.99. That's interesting. These toys are set to come out in summer 2024.
That's about right. Because like I said last week, that's kind of their baseline for the Generations line, if I'm not mistaken. Is around that part, around that part. It's just the masterpiece ones that get a little bit more pricey, a lot more pricey.
A lot more pricey, yeah.
But there's also more articulation and more pieces and whatnot with those as opposed to
it's
these
funny
ones.
that they transform Shockwave into now.
Right. I'm sitting here like, really? It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's keep this pushing. Actually, before we go on, let me do that real quick before we go on. Hasbro, speaking of continuing that train rolling, Hasbro celebrates the Transformers 40th anniversary with comics and more. So yeah, they're pretty much going to be doing it real big with the likes of Skybound and there was some other names. Skybound, Dynamite, and there was another name that was attached to it that I can't remember. But regardless, so yeah, apparently, obviously, since Skybound has the license now, of course they will be doing something. Looks like there's Dynamite Entertainment's doing trading cards. Oh, I hate you for this because you know I'm gonna get those. So that's a thing. And the trading cards are, to see, collectibles will include nearly 200 cards, all of which represent various Transformers from the classic Gen 1 continuity. The card's art is cast in different styles, from those resembling the original box art and comic book to more stylized aesthetics. So they will be available in small packs as well as a large box. And it has not been revealed as to when these cards will become available, though the entire set is likely to be out before the end of the year, according to this article. And of course, Skybound again, who has the license for the comics at this point, is probably doing some comic related stuff. Oh, there's a quote in here from Peter Cullen, aka the voice of Optimus Prime. Says, I've always had the feeling this was going to go a long time. I guess. Oh, also, Frank Welker, the voice of Megatron, says, quote, to watch this franchise just build and build and build is just amazing to watch. I hope they are continuing to get checks because deservedly so. Side note, I was just watching some Beast Wars last night, so, you know, which has neither one of them in it, but still, this is a good show. But yeah, and this is talk about the ongoing the stuff that Skybound's doing right now, so we just don't necessarily have to get into. Next up.
Alrighty. So we're up to Hasbro's Transformers 40th Anniversary collectibles. Include Ghostbusters crossover toys. Really, an Ecto Optimus?
They're really trying to go from a pocket.
Priced at $19.99.
Yeah, so this is the cheaper one.
Yeah, and a $29.99 one. Oh, okay.
So there was an Ecto one that came out with the Ghostbusters, because I should know I have it. Ghostbusters Transformer crossover that happened like a couple of years ago. And I don't think this is that. Because it's definitely not the cover if I could pull it out without. But this is a red-white color one, I guess, more Optimus colored, leaning colored Ecto one. And the if you're not watching the video version, there's a white Optimus Prime with a red stripe with the Ghostbusters logo on the side.
Goodness gracious.
So, you know, yeah. And then there's the box right there. Oh no, that's a trading card box actually. So I didn't know this had that in there, which that last article did not. But yeah, stuff's coming. 40 years of the Transformers. I feel old already. Thanks.
Boy, I'm too old for this shit.
There it is. Next up. G.I. Joe Classified for February 1 reveals Doc, Torch, and more. We got a Jinx here. We got a Roadblock. I don't know who the hell these other couple of people. Oh wait, Lux, Doc, Dreadnought, Torch, Tiger Force, Tripwire, and Roadblock Tupac. That's Tupac, not Tupac. Night Creeper. That's definitely one I don't know. Jinx from the movie, of course. Naugahyde, Pork Belly, and Yobo or Yabo. I'm guessing those are the animals that is with something. I don't know who the hell that is. But yeah, you can see a lot of the figures in this article. That Doc looks pretty smooth. You know, it looks like a more modern version of Doc though, but still. Cool. Next up.
Okay. So some people will probably take shots at me for not understanding this. Hasbro Pulse reveals Ghostbusters Neutrona Wand replica based on the original film. So this is a new role-playing type toy priced at $124.99. So this is, and it has the most noteworthy change when compared to the Afterlife release, comes with the inclusion of all new grips being matched to the prop's original big screen debut back in '84. So, you know, there'll be working LEDs, authentic sound effects, motorized vibrations with intensity adjustment, and stream extension with 4 unique bust-in modes. So I guess the one question I have is, does this connect to the backpack?
That would be the question, now would it?
Right. I mean, you know, like I said, I wasn't sure if people were going to make fun of me because I'm like, I don't know. I don't see anything that like hooks into the backpack. I don't know if there's a wire or something. I don't know.
You know what? Some enterprising folks will probably make that happen.
I'm sure 5 will get to 10. I'm sure there is. They make you buy it in 2 pieces. There's the backpack because I know they've done the backpack, right?
Right.
And but they want you to.
I'm trying to wait. Wasn't that the a Kickstarter thing though, right? Backpack?
Yeah, but that was funded like 5 times over.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. And that's it. It comes with the wand, display stand, and instructions. So could those instructions mean that what Agent 70 is asking for is the case. Don't know.
I'm gonna take a look while Roddykat moves on.
Oh,
to the
actually,
next. Next
no,
story.
you
Is
don't
it
have
in the
to.
story?
Yeah, it is in the story because I'm seeing here it says the Neutrona wand is compatible with the Ghostbusters Plasma Series Spengler's Proton Pack.
It is, right?
From 2021's Ghostbuster HasLab campaign. So yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. Asked and answered.
There it is. Right. So there's a plug somewhere.
Right. And it's probably under that like if you can see the end of it, it looks like a little honey knob thing that looks like it's probably going to screw in there or something. Or that's going to come off and it's going to attach something on the way.
Easy.
Yeah. I don't have this in the article, but I'm just throwing this in here anyway. Regal Cinemas is getting their own Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Ghost Trap popcorn bucket, and I kind of want it because it looks better than that stupid Dune popcorn bucket. I don't know if you've seen that junk. That thing looks hideous. The Dune popcorn bucket.
Oh no. I think I've seen images of it on my feeds, but yeah, I've not looked at it carefully.
Right, but basically, hey, it's a ghost trap. You can put popcorn in it. Because who wouldn't want that? Let's see. And there's a sippy cup that's going on. I'm trying to look for a price, but I know they usually ask a premium for them things. And that can't even be a large bucket of popcorn, so that's probably I can't imagine that trap fitting a whole lot of popcorn. But regardless, that's out there. I'll probably put this in the show notes later on for folks who want to check that out. But next up, is that me or you? Me.
Hold on. I just did the Neutrona wand, so Konami's you.
Good. Konami to continue developing.
Oh wait, did we skip one?
We
did skip one.
I don't believe so. What did we skip?
Did you talk about the classified releases? The
Yeah.
G.I. Joe classified releases?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I missed it.
No, it's all
I
good.
was busy looking at the Neutrona wand thing, looking to see if it was compatible with the Proton Pack.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was doing that. I did that already. But yeah, Konami to continue developing Yu-Gi-Oh! Virtual reality following successful debut at 25th anniversary event. And I know I saw another like fan-made thing that's out there that looks pretty close to what you would play on that what you have seen on Yu-Gi-Oh! The anime. But apparently, see, proof of concept was deemed a success by Konami, who announced it will later continue to developing Yu-Gi-Oh! Games with VR and various other technologies. Whether or not this means fans should expect a full VR game for the likes of MetaQuest 3 or PlayStation VR 2 remains to be seen, probably likely though still, but it certainly bodes well for those who dreamed of the experience for the last 25 years. Let's see. It looks like this VR experience is going to be something that is attached to a mobile game Dual Links. Whatever happens, or initially, or it could blossom into another VR, a full blown VR game at some point. So I'll play it. Shit. But that seems cool. Hey, we'll see how that works out at some point down the line. Next up.
We're in the home stretch here, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Peanuts pop-up book, Dark Anansi, and more Bendis. So Abrams Comic Arts has announced its spring catalog, which includes both new titles and second volumes of recently launched series. The first on the list was announced last fall, Nate Powell's Fall Through, a time loop story about a punk band that will go on sale on February 6th. And there's more, so take a look at this article when you get a chance.
That reminds me of something actually that we didn't talk about. I'm fairly certain, but when we finish this up, I'll bring it up. But yeah, wait, what was the Bendis thing? Oh, Bendis sounds a 3-year
book 2, Matilda's Quest.
Yeah, but apparently he's got a 3-book deal with Abrams, so good for him, I guess. Okay. Next up, though, Scott Pilgrim graphic novels to be remastered for 20th anniversary. So the anniversary box set will be released in both color and black and white editions. There's a slideshow here in this article where you can see the boxes for it. So that's cool. Let's see. The sets will be released August 2024. I'm looking for a price for these. Oni Press is the ones going to be putting those out because I believe they were the ones who originally put them out anyway. Or Oni Press is also teasing other upcoming releases tied to Scott Pilgrim's 20th anniversary, including Scott Pilgrim 20th anniversary print portfolio, which features both classic and new artwork, and the Scott Pilgrim 20th anniversary coloring book. Fans can look forward to more announcements later in 2024. I don't see a price, so I guess that'll be coming later, closer to release. Next up.
Okay, so spoiler alert for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 147. And wow, this story is going way beyond my understanding. So Donatello has a daughter in some time travel stuff. Timey whimey stuff, gotta love it. Or hate it, or both. And this character, Donatello's daughter, is probably the strongest member of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to date because she can manipulate time. Goodness gracious.
That'll do it.
Time and space. Goodness gracious, man.
I mean, you know, if Turtles hadn't gotten off the rail by now, although G.I. Joe at this point is kind of getting up there with some of the wild stuff that the story's doing.
Goodness gracious.
But yeah, this is some time stuff, so who knows how that's going to play out. And I believe this is leading up to 150, which is where Sophie Campbell leaves the book. So I guess she said, I'm going for it. And Timesters also, because as we said earlier, that's kind of the thing in the Turtles universe. Not last but not least, but ICV2 launches ICV2 direct ordering platform. It's a comics distribution model. Let's see. Milton Grepp, one of the founders of the direct market comic distribution model, is getting back into comics distro, sort of. On his ICV2 news site, he just announced ICV2 Direct, a new platform for sales direct from publishers to stores. The idea is to make it easier for stores to order directly from publishers, which sounds simple, but it often isn't, according to this article from Comics Beat. There is a part of the press release here, which I won't go into. And then the article kind of goes into, its thoughts about it. So good luck with that, I guess. And that's it for the news, but I wanted to throw this in here real quick, because I totally forgot about this. The first Black Peanuts character gets his own special. Snoopy presents Welcome Home Franklin. I'm sure by now people have seen the trailer for this. Sadly, it's only going to be on Apple TV Plus. But the trailer is out there for those to check out. And yes, as the name implies, it is a special surrounding Franklin, just in time for the middle of Black History Month,
right?
Of which we are in now. And apparently, they retcon a certain situation. If you watch the video,
don't tell me they retconned the table.
They retconned the table. They totally retconned the table, and people were going crazy for it too, because like, which I've watched the trailer, and it does seem kind of touching and whatnot, but because it's basically it's Franklin moving into town and meeting Peanuts gang, and they're in so far and so much, and yeah, they totally retconned the table. I'm sitting there like, okay, I don't know how to feel about that, but I'm glad they did something, I suppose. But some of us ain't gonna forget. Some of us will not forget. But if you do have access to Apple TV Plus or some Three Magic Letters, the release date for the said special is February 16th, 2024.
There it is.
And that, folks, brings us to the end of our news section. Let us get one last ad read, please.
Our last ad. And you know what we read when it's late and we're tired. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. It helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
I thought it was going to be faster than you doing the thing, but I guess not. All right, folks. Whoop. We have come to the end of another episode of this here Comic Book Chronicles. We will be back next week, actually on our regular time.
Yes.
And
yes,
the
next 2 weeks we will be recording at our regular time.
Yes. Probably not,
folks, knock on wood.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, barring anything happening, which sometimes tends to happen, but hey, is what it is. And with that, I am Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNetNeat on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Excuse me. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. PC_Dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Network, Pop Culture Net, and PopCultureNetwork.com, and all those umbrella sites therein. And last but never, ever least, Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, CB Chron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account, The Kliq Nation on Twitter, that's THEKLIQNATION, TheKliqNation.com. But first and foremost, he's over at comicbook.com where he's writing his face off. You could find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network, which I don't remember if I said earlier, but the CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, you could find us recording mostly every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation. We thank the folks that's been in the audience, like one Von Gloom and Benny Flick Games 2, which was over on twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles also.
Right, and you know how they know we're on because they clicked like, subscribe, and they left us reviews. They hit the button especially to get notifications to know when we are on live.
Indeed, although I don't know if they did reviews, but yeah, humor them on that one because someone probably has at this point. But yeah, folks, that's it. Like I said, we're kind of in the movie protocol lull of this year, so we don't really have any movies or shows to talk about until something else comes out. Although I did see,
I think Bad Batch is coming out soon, right?
Bad Batch is coming out soon-ish, and I guess somewhere between well, depending on how Spy Family works out, that might be a thing. So,
we'll see.
Yeah, but stay tuned for that, folks. But in the meantime, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles.
Peace, one. Happy Lunar New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year! Almost over, y'all. I really stand. Lights out.